All right, guys, we are going to have a lot of fun here. I'm hoping that this you're getting some of the funny little getting ready before the show starts. It looks like I am doing a teapot and going to just have some fun here. I hope that this is going out live. You know, you never know. I need to start my camera up here and hope that it's running in line. Yeah, today's kind of one of those mornings where things get started in a funny little way. All right. Welcome, everyone. Deliberately Creative Stephanie Teapot. We're doing this fun pink teapot. It's going to have little white polka dots. I'm going to be using the Arteza gouache and the fan palette this time to make colored gouache. So that way you can see, you can use even inexpensive watercolor with your gouache to make any color you want. This has a lovely kind of gray background, gray blue with little pink. It's kind of pretty. Actually, it's very pretty. And let's go to that screen. Now you can see it a little better. I hope that you're finding today to be fun and enjoyable. Look at these macarons. So these are macarons, not macaroons. Macaroons are eggs with shredded coconut, and macarons are finely ground almonds and eggs. So totally different kinds of cookies. And they get this really cool looking thing. They call it a foot, that area where it sort of lifts and you get the little bubbles that are kind of crackly right around the edges. Oh, so pretty. They are a hard cookie to make if you don't follow the instructions really, really closely. So we're going to go ahead and start getting this in. I appreciate you all showing up today. This is going to be just a fun and relaxing painting. I'm going to go in first, and actually, since we are using gouache, I can pretty much just go over parts of that background. This is on the bamboo paper, again, by Hanamula. It's the Hanamula Bamboo Mixed Media paper, and it's 265 GSM, about 125 pounds. So there we go. We're just going to get that in wet. Good morning. Hello. And hello, Brittany and Shauna and Debbie and Joanne. Whoa, people are starting to get their notifications, I think. I think my brush had a little bit of color in it again. I don't wash my brushes really well. I probably should, but I don't. There is a Prussian blue. So the background itself is going to be watercolor. We're not putting gouache in the background. So let's make that a little bit smaller for the moment. I'm going to use the Prussian blue and the magenta. So I'm just sort of trying to get those arranged so that we'll be able to see the painting and the palette. Hello, Sierra. Nice to see you. So the Prussian blue with a touch of the burnt sienna in it to kind of gray it down. Maybe burnt umber. Kind of gray it down a little bit. There's going to be some pink and gray in this background, but I'm going to start off with putting some of the gray blue. And that was done with Prussian blue and a little bit of the burnt umber. I did put a bit of burnt sienna in it also, but you know, that started to make it go yellow, green, and I didn't want it to go green since I'm putting pink in. You're actually in class right now. Okay, Sierra, so just make sure that you're getting your class stuff done. I don't want anybody getting in trouble for being here. It's kind of like the sneaking in when you're at work, which when I used to go to have an office space with a door that closed and people that cared about what I was doing walking by, I would sneak in to shows. I just want to make sure that I don't have any of the background looking all white and clumpy right behind my teapot and right behind my cookies. So even though I'm putting color over the cookies and over the teapot, it's okay. Because you know what? This is going to have pink in the background along with that gray. It's going to be a warm color. Make sure I've got it all the way out to the edge of the tape. Now the paper is held down with just plain old drafting tape. This is a tape that lifts easily from your paper and it doesn't leave a residue. It's made for people who work in drafting, making pictures of buildings and things like that. You're thinking about doing some painting, but just finish something that you started on Monday. You know what? Finishing, that is the big key. Finishing. I'm going to take my paper towel. This is dry right now. I don't have anything. I haven't lifted anything with it yet, so it's not wet. It's starting to get a little wet. That's okay. What I did is I just picked up some of that color, see? Which is giving us that feeling of maybe a fabric-y background. There will be a little gouache probably going in. I might try and clear out some of that line. And the handle on mine here is a little bit clunky looking. On the book, I did clean up my artwork when I put it into the coloring book or downloadable. And you can see here the handle looks a lot more like the handle in the reference. Mine, because I was drawing it live and I drew it straight with the pen and I didn't adjust. Yeah, sometimes when you draw straight with a pen, you just have to live with the things that you did. I have to live with the things that I did there. I had to, think about my choices. I'm going to take a little bit of the magenta color here and really water it down. I just want to get a hint of pink in the background. And I'm just going to kind of put it in maybe some of those areas that I lifted out some. There we go. See, just soften it up in those areas that it got lifted out. Gee, that's looking a little bit blown out. Maybe I need to work on this one at a slight angle. Let's see. Put something underneath. Yeah, but probably not round. Let's go with there. I can work on it. Here, slide forward. Get caught. There we go. And now, cool thing about having a camera on a robot arm. Except that where did I set my brush? There it is. So, good morning, Brandy. Yay, welcome. It's so much fun seeing all these new people coming in. We had such a huge, wonderful show yesterday, and I expect today is going to just be a wonderful show also. I am just putting more of that pink in. This is the magenta, and this is just the cheap fan palette from Amazon, and I'm calling these colors that I think they resemble. So, I'm saying that's the magenta. It's the pink, whatever the pink is that's on this palette. And this is going to be a very warm and cozy and kind of a little more feminine. Yesterday's teapot was actually you loved the cup yesterday? Me too. Yesterday's was very non-gendered, just a lovely French press for making tea in. So today, it's a little bit more feminine, pink just being that, but it's going to have some of that cool blue-gray, kind of purpley colors going in. I'm just grabbing a little bit more of that Prussian blue. You love the background so far? Me too. Now that I've got it on a bit of a slant, I have to be a little bit more careful. Wouldn't this be pretty for an Easter, like an Easter tea or a little spring tea, Mother's Day card, Easter card? It's kind of fun. I think I don't want it to be a super bright pink, but I think I want to put a little bit of a pink splatter in and let it maybe slightly purpley. Ooh, maybe purpley. Just to give it a little texture, but it's going onto the wet paper, so it's going to bloom out. Maybe that's not quite. If I want it to bloom out. I am playing, I am learning, I am growing. Every time I do one of these paintings, I am learning something. Oh, that's pretty. Those are a little bit bright. There we go. There we go. Let's see. And remember, I'm painting right over the edges of my teapot, but this paint actually does lift out, and I am going to be using gouache. So I can just sort of, if there's a rough line that I see, I can sort of soften it up just so it's not as much of a deal later, but it's not going to be a deal breaker anytime. I'm going to put a little bit more, ooh, maybe that purpley color. Start working some shadowy bits. The paper is still wet. The paper is still wet. And I did not put my cookies on a plate. I threw my cookies right onto that tablecloth or whatever it is. It's going up and down and all of that. The cute shaped macarons on Pinterest. Oh my gosh, the little hearts. And I even saw some that somebody had piped out like little chickies. Very, very springtimey. Macarons are really, really a popular cookie right now. Maybe because they are a little bit more tricky to make. They take a little bit more time. I like this sort of soft glow. I like that. All right. I'm going to dry the background. There we go. So there we go. We are just drying this off. One of the things you want to do is check your painting every once in a while. Let it dry so that you can see what your background is doing, see what your colors are like. They are going to lighten. They're going to soften as you are, as you are using, as you're allowing time to go by. Your colors will soften and lighten with watercolor. And see, you can't even tell that I splattered. It just bloomed out very softly and just made a little more texture in the background. And at this point right now, I know it looks kind of messy, doesn't it? It's okay. It's okay for it to feel messy. So what it is, the foot is that space where it separates. So you're actually making it on a flat, like a piece of parchment paper and you put the cookie batter into a piping bag with just a round tip, and you squeeze out, and generally there's like a form, not a form, but a pattern or a template down on the paper that is the perfect size circle. And you want you want your macaron, when you pipe it out onto the template, you pipe it out so that it fills the template perfectly and is smooth. And then you let it sit on the tray for a little while it kind of makes a little bit of a harder surface to it. Then you put it in the oven and you bake it at the whatever the temperature it is it calls for. And that hard surface that formed stays hard and dry, and it lifts up like that, and it creates that little kind of a foam. It's like a meringue, but with almonds, super fine ground almonds in it. Yeah, thank you. They are difficult. I've made them once, and they turned out. They turned out okay. I mean, for being a home baker and making it one time, I actually think they turned out okay. I also have to make everything gluten free, so there was a little bit of it called for a little bit of regular flour, and I had to use my gluten free flour. So that that added a little bit of a challenge, but it was fun. Okay, I'm just sort of softening out here with just a little bit of water because there was an edge of white right between the, and I wanted to make sure that that got filled in. Yeah, this teapot, teapot and macarons, I mean, how cozy can things get? That's pretty darn cozy, huh? I am going to go ahead, now that I've dried this off, I am going to go ahead and take kind of a pink and purple, or pink and Prussian blue, and make myself a bit of a darker purple with maybe just a touch of the burnt umber in it to gray it down just a little. I don't want it to be bright purple. And I'm going to go right here under the edge of the teapot, and my little shadow can be, lifted up and down. It's sitting on top of cloth, so it's like a rustic cloth tablecloth. And I'm making up my shadow here under the cookies since I moved my cookies onto the table. And I'm going to soften this out because really and truly, the lighting on this, if I want to stay with the lighting of the teapot, the light is coming this direction right here. So the brightest highlight is going to be in this area. And then this side of the teapot gets a little bit darker, and the down under gets a little darker because the teapot is rounded. So it blocks the light. These cookies are rounded. They block some light, but already that's looking pretty good. I'm going to put a couple little spots of this darker, and I'll soften those out. They have a lot of flavor. Yeah, what happens when you eat them is that they almost poof. They are filled with a buttercream type icing in the middle, so they are made into little sandwich cookies. Everything's better as a sandwich cookie, right? Chocolate chip cookie sandwich cookies, ginger spice sandwich cookies. Oh my goodness, I need to stop talking about cookies. Except that cookies are cozy and they're comforting, and the world runs better on cookies, I think. I think that it's a lack of cookies at meetings that causes a lot of stress. We need more cookies at meetings, right? Nice thing about a Zoom meeting is that you can have cookies whenever you want. Let's zoom that down just a little bit. I'm just using a wet brush, damp, and pushing that color around a little bit, softening up the edges and letting it feel like it's sitting on top of that darker shadow, but on top of the fabric. So I'm just putting some of that purple down in right underneath the cookies. A lot of painting is working your way around. It's kind of like you circle around to see what's what you're going to come up on next. Sometimes you're sneaking up on what it is that scares you about a painting. Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. People making cartoon character shapes with the macaron cookies. Macaron cookies. Sorry, not macaroons, macarons. Yeah. You do have to like almond. And, you know, you do have to like almond flavor. If you, I'm going to put a little bit of that shadow back here. By letting it sort of bounce around, since the paper is already wobbly, it gives you that feeling almost of it being fabric. So when you're putting your shadows in, your shadow color, you can let your brush sort of skip across, and the paper is helping you make it feel like fabric. You love almond. Yeah, yeah. Taking a little bit of that purple, or that Prussian blue and the magenta again, and making some of that purple, and then picking up just a touch of the burnt umber. So yeah, just graze it down just a little bit. I'm just working right up underneath the things now, right close. Even though the paper is wet in those areas and it will bleed out a little bit, it will just soften my shadow. And like I said, I'm making up this shadow here. I'm not sure, you know, exactly where all my shadow would be, but the darkest shadow is going to be wherever it actually is making contact with the surface, is always where your darker shadows are going to be. So if it is making contact, it's going to have a darker shadow. There we are. And then you can soften it out with just a damp brush around the very outside edge. But try and stay away from the actual underneath the edge of the cookie. There we go. Oh, I like this. This is pretty. And it's just one of those work it in. Work it in. I need a little bit of that darker shadow right in the very back. Because this is going to be, you know, light and shadow is all that we have really to create the shape and form of anything on flat paper. That really is the only way that you see what's there, is by the light and the shadow, right? The color changes, the light, the shadow creates form. And now sometimes I will describe something just in the way that makes sense to me, and not as an actual, I am not an actual professional art teacher. I am an artist who has really learned a lot of stuff from watching other people, listening to other people, watching other shows, reading books, growing up in a family where, you know, it was good to be creative. It was considered a character quality that was valued, or that still is valued. Being creative is a character quality in my family. And all of my siblings are creative. Not everyone is an artist, but they are all creative. Some are creative with words, some are creative with schedules. So, yeah. All right, I'm going to dry that, and we're going to start working on the cookies. Softening up the shadow edge. Yeah, soften up the shadow edge. And I might be softening up right in here a little bit more even. I don't know. I'm going to let it rest and start working on laying in the base of the teapot. And the base of my teapot is going to be put in. I'm going to put one layer of the pink, that sort of magenta pink, very lightly, very watered down, just in the teapot. And then that way I've got the surface of it with a bit of a color. And then I'll start putting the gouache on. So if for some reason I'm not as, oh, that's pretty. That's pretty as it is, isn't it? But I do want to use the gouache since I kind of went to town on the, although gouache on the cookies. No, I'm going to use gouache on the teapot too. You wouldn't have to. You do not have to use gouache on this. You could just do it all with watercolor. You might want to be a little bit more thoughtful on how your background impacts your teapot itself. But there we go. Oh, I'm a teacher. I'm just not a certificated teacher. I am a teacher with my education having come from real life. No, I totally believe I am a teacher. I have lots of students. So, which I am so grateful for. I am grateful for all of my students. I am grateful for everyone who comes in and clicks that like button. If you like what you see, click that like button. That makes a difference to YouTube. It shows YouTube that people like you like this. And then they will show my video to more people like you and see if they like it. And if they click the like button, then it just keeps going. It just keeps going and growing. I'm working my color in. I'm not worried about it being too dark. I'm going to be taking and adding gouache to this and getting more of that texture going. But I am letting the color sort of inform my shape here. I'm looking at that reference and thinking about, you see how I've already, even just with this couple layers of watercolor, working wet into wet, I'm getting that feeling of it being rounded. Now, right up there, I went a little bit dark, but you can lift out. Oh my gosh. This is making me so happy. I hope it makes you happy also. So where's Jan? Jan is going to be watching, but she had some stuff going on. And any happy thoughts, again, like yesterday, any happy thoughts for people who are going through stuff that need some positive reinforcement of good things coming. Good things coming in the world, good things coming for everybody. Go ahead and, make those happy thoughts out there for people. But yeah, Jan is, just as everybody here volunteers to come in, nobody is twisting your arm to come in. And sometimes we have things going on in our lives that take precedence. Our families come first, and truthfully, even for me, guys, my family does come first. So if my family needs me for some reason, there might be times when I have to postpone a live stream or something like that, or my health comes before doing the work. So if I need a health day for some reason, oh my gosh, that's looking so pretty. I will take a health day. But, know that I am never I'm not going to just fall off the face of the earth here, guys. If I happen to need to take time for some reason, I'll let you know. If it's within my power to let you know, I will let you know. But right now, we're here and we're having fun. And I'm just, see, I just picked up some of that purple. That is already looking so cool. I'm going to put some of that color down here on the cookies also. The cookies have a bit of a yellowy undertone to them though. Thank you, Shauna. Yeah, the pink is so pretty, isn't it? And now teapots, like I said, this teapot and these little macaron cookies, this would be a really pretty card. Somebody's birthday, somebody's, anniversary, a Valentine card. Wouldn't that be a pretty Valentine? I'm taking a little bit of that magenta color and a little bit of this kind of orangey red. Might have been a little bit too much. Let's move down one. Maybe add just a tiny touch of the... So that'll get me my shadowy color. And then I've got the... It's all going to run together because I'm on a slope here. So that you guys were able to see the background and such going in. So my paint is... I'm going to put this color... My paint is running down my palette. I'm going to put this sort of warmed up. It's not as pink. I'm going to put that on here. And then I'm going to dab it off. I'm not going to leave that quite so darkish. But I want to get some color, sort of staining the paper. Part of doing this is giving me that information, that visual information, so when I come back in with my gouache and do my colors, I will have kind of a little color roadmap. Ah, yeah. Thanks, Julie. Yeah, making the hit that like button. Definitely. I was watching a show yesterday evening, and the person was talking about how with our YouTube channels and stuff, so many people, they tell you to do certain things at certain times, and really what YouTube is looking at is, are people clicking on the video when they see it suggested to them? And then are people clicking the like button? Because those are things, people can click the like button on every single video, right? They're not, it's not like when they subscribe, you only subscribe once to a channel. But you can say, hey, I like this video and I like this video. Interaction. Oh, you know what? That actually is not too bright or too dark. Sometimes when you put colors in and you think it's going to be too dark and it's not. I want to enlarge this here so you can see. Now, this is a little bit more pink, but it does have a bit of that yellowy glow to it. So I'm going to let this be my base color just so that I have a base color. The color of the icing in the middle is sort of yellowy, and I'm going to go ahead and do that, but I'm going to just dry this off a little bit first. Just so the yellow doesn't go bleeding up into the cookies so much. The teapot is going to be white polka dotted because I just think that's so incredibly cute. There we go. Oh, and this is just a heat gun, a heat tool for doing embossing on rubber stamping. I use it because I have it. You can use a blow dryer. You can use just a little, a cool air fan if that's all you've got. if you're working near your computer and you've got one of those little USB fans, you can plug that in and have it blowing across to dry your paintings more quickly. I'm going to go ahead and shrink that just a bit. Let's see. I think we can make it about that big. All right. So now I want to go and just grab kind of a yellowy tone. That's kind of a yellowy orangey tone. Hello, Black Rose. Welcome. Thank you. Now, I only see about a third of the chat going through. So if you ask a question, make sure and put it all in capital letters so that I can catch the question. And many times my community will see the question. They can answer if they know the answer. Many times I will leave it up to the community to answer just because I don't see it. Your day was good, Black Rose? So what part of the world are you in? I'm just going to sort of dab that yellow filling to lighten it up just a little bit. All right, I'm going to grab the gouache now. And so for doing the gouache, I think I'm going to just wipe off those colors right there and put this right here. This is, I'm going to put a couple dabs of it. This is the Arteza gouache, and you can use any gouache that is a standard type gouache. For this painting, don't use the acrylic gouache for because you can't blend your colors after they're dry if you want to be able to get things. Okay, so Roy's going to be the Cocapelli on it. You're the Cocapelli on it guy. All right. I belong to another YouTuber's and this one, I don't mind if I get a little bit of gouache on some of the colors here. I don't mind. I can wash this one off. I just don't want to get the gouache into my professional paints. If it gets onto this palette, no big deal. I'm getting a little bit of water. And I'm just going to start putting some of that color on. See? Whoa, I actually matched that pretty well, didn't I? The gouache starts giving it a weight. It starts weighting it down, or giving it weight. I think that's the best way to put it. And it's also opaque. So see how it's going over the ink on that handle? So I can clean up that handle and make it look more tidy and pretty with gouache. Look at that. Bet you were wondering, oh my gosh, how's she gonna fix that, huh? Core is on your wish list. Yeah, I love my core paints, but I don't want, like I said, I don't want to get core mixed up with my gouache. So I had to be super, super careful yesterday. I did use the core paint on the French press yesterday. That was so fun. I look at that and go, oh my gosh, did I really do that painting? So if you're interested, the painting a French press, I did that with the core paint and with the white gouache. Made a turquoise cup. Okay, I have to show you because that just totally surprised me. And like I said, it feels very non-gender specific. It's just a French press and a cup. Isn't that fun? Haha. But then the day before was that one. And that one turned out so nice also. So I'm having so much fun with these fun and cozy types of art. Cozy subjects just make me make me all warm and inside. I'm just picking up now. This is like sculpting, and I'm not worried if I cover up my ink lines. I'm not worried if I leave some of my ink lines. This is an illustration style. It's not realism. So I'm picking up some more of that white. Oh, thank you, Rose. You know, it's a lot of practice. Lots and lots of practice. So, if you have a chance to practice, your skills get better. So, I've been painting daily, almost, for 2 months, just doing watercolor. And people who have been with me here for a while, they know my skills have improved a whole lot just in, those 50 or 60 days. So if you can get yourself to do it. And I resisted doing daily painting for so long. I don't know why. I resisted. But really what daily painting does is it helps you to break things down and see things. Seeing the light and shadow, you start to get a feel of how that color would work, how that shape, how the light would hit something, even without it being, really there in front of you. Hi, Meg. Oh, you ordered the book from Teespring. Excellent. Yeah, so guys, the link for the Teespring, I didn't even show you guys. I did all of this artwork in all of the drawings on a live stream marathon, and I put all of the pictures together, cleaned them up, and put them into a downloadable book. So you can paint every single one of the paintings that I've done. Here, let's zoom out so you can see this. So, whoop. So there, see? We've got the reference down there in the corner. We've got the drawing that's been all cleaned up and the handle was fixed. And where we are right now. Pretty cool, huh? So all 30 of the paintings are in here. So tomorrow is going to be the little elephant teapot. And that was a request from one of... I just laid this down in the gouache. Oh my goodness gracious. You can't take me anywhere. If there's a place where there's wet paint and I can get my hand in it, I will. So anyway, it's an instant download book on Teespring, so you can get all 30 of the pictures and be able to print them out on any paper you want. You can print it out on watercolor. So this one was printed on the watercolor paper, and then I painted it. And that's the one that I actually used for the cover. And let's see, flipping through. And then this is the original artwork that was the drawing. That was day 16. And that was the original artwork that we painted live here on YouTube. And all of the links for the playlist will be up in the iCard also. So, if you're interested, those things are there. And there's a lesson for every single one of the pieces of art in that book. And if you don't want to download and print yourself, you can buy the book on Amazon. And it's an actual printed coloring book, reference idea book. So there, that was yesterday's. That's today. See? We've got fun stuff coming. Drawing in a journal, or painting a journal that people could draw on in front of the window, kind of like a coffee shop picture. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Let's zoom back in. You like the red cup? Yeah, I really like how that turned out also. It's so much fun. Like I said, the growth that I've had in my skills has just totally surprised me. So I'm just taking some of that white and just dropping it on right there. Lovely highlight. I'm going to a little bit of the pink in that, a little bit brighter. See? Boom. There's more light on that side. And that's one of the things, after you've got some color down, you can start putting light over dark, which you can't do with straight watercolor, but you can do with gouache. So there we go. There we go. Make sure, like I said, if you're enjoying this, click that like button. Show YouTube that it's something that people should go and watch. Now, this outside edge of that handle, I am going to water down my gouache just a little bit because I need to put a highlight on the outside edge. Kind of like that. See how I'm starting to work that down? I'm starting to work it in and get that highlight going, that lighter version of color. And I don't care that I've gone over all of that pen line there. It's going to go into the background. You're not even going to notice it. Annabelle! Welcome. So, Annabelle, getting the motivation. Yes, having the motivation, that really is the key. Like I said, it took me a long time to get myself to a place where I felt comfortable doing a daily painting. And now, of course, I'm doing my daily painting or almost daily painting live in front of people, which that has its own level of stress and, performance anxiety and all of those things. But I know that I'm doing it here with you guys in a friendly community group. So I'm not too worried about performing perfectly. And if something doesn't turn out, the cool thing is you guys are not going to be mad at me for not making it perfect. And that really means a lot to me. I'm putting a brighter highlight at the back edge right there. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at the reference, and then there's that brighter highlight is in front of the handle here and in that space. With gouache, you can go in and remap where your highlights are. So say you put a highlight down to begin with, and then you went, oh, hold it a second. This is probably a window that's over there. I'm seeing more of a squared off line in that highlight, and then then it sort of blurs across. Daily painting. Well, you know what? The following to do it live, truthfully, I've had many of my videos only have like 12 or 15 people there. The people who like to watch live painting will find you. And a lot of that I'm telling myself right now also, because some days, well, yesterday was so amazing. I was just tickled beyond belief with how many people showed up at the live stream yesterday. Just tickled. I put a little bit of that Prussian blue in to build up that shadow, made it into a purpley tone. So if you are looking at growing your viewers, just do what you love. I am really trying to take that to heart. I'm really trying to take that to as my sort of my mantra is do what you love. And then people will find you. Well, okay, so yeah, I've got like 92,000 subscribers now. Um, so, but the thing is that most of my subscribers came on when I was doing acrylic paint pouring. And, my views on my actual videos right now, yesterday's video is awesome and growing. People are still going in and watching. And it really makes me super, super happy to see that. But many of my videos, even on my daily paintings, at the beginning, were only getting, 200 or 300 views. So just because I have thousands of viewers or subscribers don't really mean much in the way that, if they subscribed when they were watching a certain type of thing being done, and then you're not doing that certain type of thing, they're not watching. So I've actually been losing a lot of subscribers once I started doing my daily painting on live. And boy, is that disheartening. Let me tell you, that's disheartening. But it is just sort of the natural flow of things. So just because somebody has a lot of subscribers doesn't mean that they're active. I have a lot of subscribers that are still active with other people. But they, and I've got new people coming in all the time. So, but it's sort of right now just balancing out. And that's okay. I am trying to tell myself that is okay. I'm picking up some of that darker purpley tone and making some of that darker shadow now, right up here, around that, where the lid is, and right around the neck. So you can tell sometimes when I'm really kind of working out things for myself, I'll talk about it out loud. So you'll know, okay, I am really trying to boost my own morale, my own self-esteem. Nobody else can actually boost your self-esteem. You're the one in control of it. You're the one who has to decide, I'm good the way I am. I'm doing the things that I want to do to make myself happy. Other people can create circumstances in which you choose to be happy or sad. So I'm choosing to be happy about this. I'm choosing to be happy that, yep, I've had a lot of people leave. I've had new people come in. I've had shows where not many people show up, and I've had shows, I don't know why I just went quite so far with that. I'm going to wipe that back just a little bit. See? Look at that. Sometimes when I'm talking, I lose track of what I'm doing. There we go. You like painting, you do digital art and animation. That is spectacular. Digital art and animation is amazing. I've only done a couple little animations on my iPad. I love Procreate. I love that they have the ability to do simple frame animation or layer animation. I was in computer programming and data processing for many, many years. Well, that's what I went to college for. And then what I did, I was actually tech support for many, many years. But I did do some extra data stuff. But I truthfully, if I was going to college right now, I'd be looking at the digital animation because that's what I love. You're not getting notifications, only suggested videos. Wow. And the videos that you see of mine lately are the acrylic pouring videos. That is so weird because it's been 2 years since I've done any, or it's been a full year since I've done any pouring at all. I don't know. If you go into your notifications and check to see if you have all notifications turned on, you will get, notified when I do anything then, if you have all notifications turned on. So, Daffy Kibble. I love that. You love the tea with the pot and cookies. Yeah. It's fun stuff. And thanks, guys, for all of the thumbs up. I am really, really, that's where I'm trying to focus my attention now is, do I get thumbs up on my videos? Because that is definitely the signal that lets me know you guys are enjoying what you see. And it tells me, all right, that video got a lot of thumbs up. Must be that that's a subject that people want more of. I'm sort of growing the edge of that lip out just a little bit. Right there. Let's just zoom in. Oh my gosh, why am I working so far away from you? There we go. So this edge right here, this little lip, I'm just going to grow that out just a bit. Make it a little darker. Give it a little bit of a place for it to rest in there. A bit more consistent in shape. Or not. And that means I need to grow that one up just a little bit too. See, with gouache you can do that. It's a little bit harder with watercolor to go in and change the shape of things. But with gouache, you can take light over dark, dark over light, and then go light over that dark again. I need a little bit of dark underneath that edge right there. And that actually needs to come out a little bit. Look at that. I'm not worried about losing my pen lines. If I wanted to, I could go back and put pen lines back over things if I really wanted to. I'm not too worried about it. I like the sort of peekaboo quality of the pen line on this, where it's going in, comes in, goes out. So there's more shadow at the back side of that knob underneath. But I'm going to sort of deal with that color that I have on my brush right now. Add a little bit more pink to it. Ooh, that was a little bit more pink than I wanted. You just found the animate. You just found this? Oh, well, thank you, Riki Animates. It's always fun. Having new friends join us. I love that. We are a friendly location. We are a friendly spot on the internet. And I like being that friendly place. That is looking really good. I'm feeling really happy about that. I think I want a little bit more of that. I picked up a little more Prussian blue. Oops, sorry. I'm off the edge of there. I picked up a little more Prussian blue with the gouache. And I'm sort of mixing it into that pink, and it's making it that purpley tone. Might not be as dark. Nope, needs to be a little bit more pink. Ah, there we go. See, play with your colors. Play with them. Look at that. Now I've got that slightly darker tone that I can get up there underneath as my shadow. And as my shadow right there. And I'm going to put some of that down here. And a little bit of that shadow here. Yeah, so I love drawing on my iPad. I've got an iPad Pro. I've had it for a couple years. And oh, it is so much fun. I have I have a broadband internet, yes. So I feel, I feel confident in doing my live streams because the broadband internet carries it quite well here. And I live in town, so, and my internet is connected on a fiber optic line. So I am fortunate, and I feel very fortunate with that. Want inside that spout to be a little bit darker. I'm just picking up a little bit more of that Prussian blue. I'm keeping it kind of dry. I'm not... There we go. Oh, and this is a number 12 round, so it's a big round brush. This is a number 12. This is a number 4. Okay? And just get it wet so that the bristles come together. So a number 12 and a number 4. And these are the Mimic brushes by Creative Mark. Links are all down below in the more information box if you're interested. Just for convenience. Thank you, Christian. I appreciate that. Yeah, I have decided to focus on the likes on the videos versus the subscribers. It'll be fun when we get to 100,000, and there'll be some partying going on, I'm sure. But I am trying really hard to focus on the current right now. What am I looking at? I am looking at the people who want to come in and want to hang out. That's what I'm looking at. I'm grabbing some more of that bright white. Yes, I'm using the bamboo paper today. This is the Hanamula. I had the little sample card right here. There it is. This is the Hanamula mixed media bamboo. It is the 265 GSM, which is about 125 pounds paper. It is made with 90% bamboo fiber and 10% cotton rag. Acid-free, natural white. It's got a slight cream color to it. And it is beautiful for working all of these different medias on. I'm really having fun doing it. Lighten that up that way. And I think I'm going to dry this and maybe put the polka dots on, and then we'll go down and we'll start getting those cookies in. Because you get to a certain point, maybe a little bit lighter right down here. Softened out. See, and you can pick up, if you put the white gouache down by itself even, if you wiggle it over the top of your watercolor and other gouache, it's going to pick up that color. But gouache doesn't bloom like watercolor does. So when you put something wet down, it doesn't go and bloom into it and pull the color away. I do the drawings and sell those books of my drawings so people can paint in color. Yeah, well, that's what I'm doing here. Selling my book. I have this book from I have this book of cozy designs. I'm selling it on Teespring and on Amazon. So that's my Amazon book. And then I do have, oh, you know what? You guys have never seen, or many of you have not seen. For those of you who do the digital art, I went and did 50 floral mandalas. Look at that. I drew all of these on my iPad. So, and this is a book of 50 floral mandalas to color. And it's on Amazon too. And it's only like, $7.99. And there's 50 pictures. They're all single-sided. So you've got just a, you don't have to worry about it messing up another picture on the back side. So this is on my Amazon shop, if you're interested. It's like, I haven't talked about that book for a long time. It makes an awesome gift, and it's a great activity book for yourself. All right, I am going to zoom back in. Let's zoom back in. There we go. All right. I think I want to put those polka dots in, and I was going to do that with, I think I'm going to try and do the polka dots with just a wet Q-tip, sort of flatten out the end, get it a little bit wet. I'm wetting it with the my rinse water, kind of compact the cotton bud. So this is just a fluffy cotton bud, and I'm going to, this is a test. I don't know how this is going to work. It might be too big and mushy. I don't know. We're going to see. So, polka dot, polka dot, polka dot, polka dot, polka dot. Ooh, that's not working too bad. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. And then polka dot, polka dot, polka dot. Oh, that one went a little wonkety, but that's okay. It's okay. There and there. And then I'm going to let those dry. We will come back and put, let's see, maybe there'll be a tiny bit of a polka dot just barely showing up there. It'll be what it is. Hey, if you don't like what you're watching, that's okay. You can head on to something else. Yes, that coloring book mandala. Excellent, Rose. I love that. But yeah, cool thing about YouTube is if you don't like what you're watching, you can always move on. Your chat isn't working on the stream and you don't know why. Have you clicked it onto up at the top where it says live chat? Does it say something else? Let's see. I don't know. So on some things it will give you live chat, or it will give you like a highlight type of chat. I don't know. I'm going to dry this. And, if you didn't want those dots to move, I could have put those in with the Crafters acrylic or regular white acrylic paint, and then the dots wouldn't move after, you really need help? You need to draw an apple right now? Oh my gosh. Well, the cool thing is, an apple is basically like the main shape of this teapot, isn't it? So, an apple is just a sphere. Just paint fixed colors, observe the color, the light, the source, the environment. Since Impressionism science has explained the colors interact with each other. Oh yeah, yeah. Colors interact, reflections happen. So that's why, you know, things might turn to a purpley cast when it's a pink thing, or, you know, a brown cast when it's an orange thing. So yeah, science and color is so, so linked. Now I'm cleaning up that dot right there. I don't want it to go down onto the foot of the base. I do want to put, looking at that, going, I do want to put a little bit more dark there and there. I'm making up this base of the teapot because it's actually in the reference covered.
Christian's wondering if you plan on doing more drawings live because he likes how
Ah, you like the live drawings? Excellent, because that is on my list. I am What I'm going to be doing is I'm working on some little houses, and I'm going to try and have all of my little houses drawn ahead of time, but then and have the book available, so if people don't want to draw, they don't have to, they can just paint in. And then I'm thinking maybe doing a little mini marathon, kind of like I did with the hearts and the floral flower hearts, and doing like 3 or 4 little houses. It's probably going to take, you know, 3 or 4 hours. So I think that would be kind of where I'm going with that. I'm taking that boom, that shadow right over those dots, and I don't want to work too harsh or too much back and forth over the dots, because I want it to look like the shadow is laying over. And if I work back and forth on them too much, now I am going to have to smooth that out around those, and I might have to put my dots back in. I don't want it to look like I just painted my shadow on. I want my shadow to look kind of natural, but if I wiggle my brush over those little dots, they will lift. And I just want the impression of those dots in the background. Kind of working around it a little bit. And since it is gouache, we can go back and add, you know, I can go back in and I can add more color. This is starting to get a little bit murky looking there. I'm not really a fan of that. I am going to tab out. Look at that. On this paper, I can lift out that color. I'm going to bring it back into more of a pink, because it was looking a little bit too dark and murky. I don't want quite so murky. And I'm going to just go right over my dots, and if I work my dots out, I know I can put them back. Look at that. That's feeling a little bit better. It was just getting a little too gray for my liking. I want this to be a sunny and happy teapot. There we go. There's a little bit of shadow right here underneath that handle. There. Get that sunny teapot type shape and color. There we go. I am working on a funny angle. It really needs to be tipped up about there for me, but for you it's better at this angle. So I'm trying to work it so you guys can see. I don't need that one down here by my arm. There we go. All right, that's feeling a little bit better. Part of it is I need to look at it there. I needed to look at it from a little bit of a distance. So now I'm taking more of my white. I'm going to get that brighter highlight going in here. Boom, 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 boom. I will put my shadow or put my dots back in. I'll put my dots back in. Oh, yeah, I need to sculpt my teapot back in again. There. And sometimes when you're working on something like this, that's what you do. You work it out, you work it back. You work it out, you work it back. I worked on some lotus flowers one time, and I probably worked on it for like 4 hours. Just because I kept taking it, I pushed it back and then brought it forward and pushed it back and brought it forward. Good morning, Linda. Aw, thank you so much. So see, just wiggle, wiggle. Neat thing, you can just get those colors worked in. There. And now I want a little bit more of the pink in it. See? That's starting to work my shadow back. Play with your colors, guys. Play with your colors. And you'll start to get a feel for them. And now I'm making all of this gouache painting just with that one white gouache, and all the rest of it is just picking up colors from the watercolor palette. So much brighter right here. Just going to get it. I'm still working it into the color that's on the paper. Oh, look at that. Boom. That makes me feel so much better. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my dots on, and I think I'm going to try doing the dots a little bit differently. I'm going to pick up, I still have the white on my brush, but I'm picking up some of the colored gouache, some of it in color on the, so that way they start to blend in already. Oh, that's so much better. And then as I move into the lighter area, I'm going to pick up more white. Let's see. And you can twirl your little cotton bud there to give you more circle dots. And then I can go back in and see about picking up some more of that darker tone. Ah! Throwing it on my lap. Touching. And now my circles, my dots are not perfect dots, you know? I'm not making perfect dots, but what I'm doing is I'm kind of coming back in and just, I can clean them up, but I'm softening that color out just a little bit so it doesn't look quite as strong everywhere. Just sometimes using another tool like this is really helpful, and sometimes it causes more stress. So use what makes you happy. All right. Oh, there was a troll a few minutes ago. Yeah, that happens, and because I'm not paying as close attention, I'm sorry, guys. I am just cleaning up around my little dots now, just a little bit, not too worried, but some of these, you know, like this one right here, I'm actually going to be putting more of my bright white right there, so I don't think I need to worry about. I think I'll just do that. Just get my bright white. Just get the bright white. Just go boom, boom, boom. Put a little bit of the bright white there, a little bit more right here. I really want bright white on that very top edge right there. Yeah, so, sometimes people have more time on their hands, and sometimes they don't think that, sometimes people don't think, really, is what it is. So that's looking too bloppy. But look, we can soften that edge. Highlights can have soft edges or hard edges. So just soften the edge if you want it to be softened up a little bit. And then there. All right. You know what? This is a fun. Oh, thanks a lot. This is a fun painting, and it is one of those ones. Yeah, you do end up taking a bit of time on them. Just kind of getting that pinkish color. Oh, there we go. It's not totally in shadow. You still have color. Cleans up the edge. That's the thing with gouache. You can go in there and really clean up your edges. You can have, very, very detailed pictures, or you can have much more impressionistic even. All right. I'm going to clean up that little edge right there. Clean up that little edge right there. I can sit here and putz and futz. And that's my own terms here. Putz and futz. And actually, putz is a German term, and it is to putter. That is where puttering comes from, I think. To putter. To so they would have like the putz houses, which were little glitter houses. All right, Ray. Take care, guys. Whenever you have to leave, just have fun wherever you're going in your day. I'm going to be here for a little bit because I am really just having fun and just enjoying the process. And if you are enjoying the process also, click that like button and share that with your friends. That helps YouTube share my channel. It really does too. Helps YouTube see their little algorithm. Everything out in the world now seems to be run on an algorithm. Oh, there. And then a little bit more of that higher highlight. A little bit more of that polka dot showing up there. Maybe you still see a little bit of it up here. Not completely. So that's why I'm not too worried about making it perfect. I'm just dabbing it in just a little bit. I'm going to dry this and then put my super high highlight, and then I'm going to go back. You need to draw the shadow to the apple. So where's your light coming from? So whatever side your light is coming from, your shadow's on the other side of it. So on this teapot, my light is coming from here. My shadow, I could have more shadow back here behind. And these cookies, there's going to be some shadow on the cookies because I actually pushed them back closer to the teapot. So let's zoom back out on that just a little bit so we can see it better. Yeah, I like the form that we got here on this handle. I think that the top of that needs to be a little bit white, a little bit more whiter. It's not whiter, but whiter. Ah, well, thank you. I appreciate that you think my voice sounds soothing. I've been told that a few times, that people think that my voice is very soothing. I I've heard my voice all my life, so I don't know how soothing it is. I want to put a little touch of light up here on top. Maybe it's the grandma in me being, being soothing. My inner grandma comes out. A little bit there. I want it to be touched darker underneath. I'm just sort of wandering around on my palette and finding some of those colors. And if I don't have it, I'll just go and pick up a little bit more. Like I said, I'm not worried about getting gouache into this palette. I can clean it off. And if there's a little bit of the gouache in it, it's not really going to show up too much. I'm going to put a touch of this down here, clean up that bottom edge. A little bit darker. I know I kind of took out some of that darkness. I want to put a little bit of that darkness back in. This is that shadow at the back behind, because the teapot's turned around away from you. You feel how this is giving us that feeling of it going around and away? I like that. It's giving us that feeling. And I do want a touch of that shadowy bit right here. And this is where it went sideways last time. So I'm not going to put as much shadow. And I'm going to be a little bit more careful in how I put that down. And I want to soften it out. I've got a lot of white in my brush right now, so it's allowing me to kind of soften that color out. I'm going to try not to wiggle my brush over the dots. I don't want to have to put them back in for a third time. And there will be some random highlights that show up in weird spots. So if you have a highlight that shows up in an odd spot, say you worked a little too hard on a spot of your paper, kind of like right there where I was just going over that. I worked it a little too much right here. That spot needs to be a little darker. So you can lightly, gently go back in and put it on. But really, see, I was able to get that to go back in. But really, the best way to do it would be to go and dry your painting. See how it just works its way. Sometimes drying just makes all the difference. You know, that inner grandma, she's a feisty lady. I'll just tell you that. Inner grandmas can be really feisty. I'm just putting that darker purple. You notice I didn't use any black. To get these shadows, I was just using well, except for the black that's mixed into Prussian blue, but I didn't use any fresh black color. There. My real grandma was very feisty. All right. Thanks, Rose. I'm so glad that you came in. I hope that you come back and check out how this turned out. And if you guys are interested in all of the videos from this series, they will be listed up in the top right corner on the playlist for the cozy playlist. I think I need to just stop messing around with that bit. I'm going to take just a tiny bit of that white, really bright white. Give it a high highlight right there, maybe a little bit there. I'm just going to touch a few spots. Remembering that this highlight is really coming from a window, working its way up, and it had a little bit of a sharper angle at the bottom of it. There we go. There we go. All right. DePolly, hey, welcome. Welcome, welcome. All right, I'm going to zoom out just a smidge because we are going to move over to the cookies. So I'm just taking a quick glance, just a quick glance so you can get kind of the view of where we are right now. I'll show you real quick where we started. We started from in this book of designs, and we started from just that. So we had just the basic teapot, and now we have that. And it's taken about an hour and a half to get there. Well, you know, sometimes we just have to take our time and know that taking our time is going to give us a good result. All right, so cookies. These are the macarons, and I am really excited to work on those. That and that. And let's see, how much bigger can I make them? Ah, that's pretty good size, don't you think? There we go. All right, so looking at those macarons, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on the reference here. So we've got a little bit of a better idea of what we're looking at. I'm rinsing my brush out really well. And I want to look at this. I do know that I'm going to be working back into those pinks again. Probably a slightly orangier pink. But first off, I want to get the inside, that icing bit that's inside. I'm really close already. But I see in that shadow, it's got kind of a burnt sienna sort of color. Oh, so that's the problem with having everything all zoomed in. So let's see here. Maybe I'll mix it up right down. I'll mix it up right here so you'll be able to see. I've got kind of just a burnt sienna color. It's orangey brown. And that is actually going to be the shadow of the icing. There's a shadow on the top and a shadow on the bottom. And the bottom of the cookie can actually have that. So that area that's in front of the icing right here, look at that. We're getting that icing in really quick because it doesn't take a lot. It just needs some shadows so that it looks like it's rounded in there. And putting the shadow on the bottom of the cookie, because the bottom of the cookie is where it was baked. So it could be a little bit, warmer brown. These cookies, you don't brown these cookies. These cookies, you want them to be the color that they are. So they're more of a dry bake. So macarons, an amazing tea cookie. Very, very sweet. Very, very sweet. Just putting that color in on the bottom, and I will come back and sort of soften it out just a little bit here. The yellow tone that's on that icing was put on earlier, and so it's really dry. So any color that I put on now is just glazing over the top of that yellowy tone, getting those shadows in there. Because if you see that cookie that's on the bottom of the stack on the very right hand side, you have just a tiny little bit of light hitting it. And the rest of it is actually very kind of golden brown color. Yummy, Princess Roblox. Excellent. All right, Princess. Take care. This is definitely a fun time. This is a fun time. This is a fun place. This is a place for creativity, for growing our skills, for learning to look at things and see the shadows, see the light. The more you can see the difference between shadow and light, the more you can get form to show up. I am really liking that edge of that teapot that we can see. That really has form to it. It has substance. And I want these cookies to end up having substance. So what we're going to do next is I want to make a really dark. Do I stream daily? I stream Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. I've been doing that most days this month. In February, if I might just do come hang out in the studio, random draw and paint, for an hour and a half. I think that might be what I'm going to be doing. I might not have an actual theme in February because I'm working on my my big project that I'm doing for March, which is going to do daily painting of little houses. And that's going to be so much fun. Little houses and scenes that little houses sit in, or little scenes like window boxes and windows, the outside of a house, close up on a door, maybe door handles. I might work on some of those things during the month of February. Sort of the love of things cozy, cottagey. But I won't have an actual book of those items because I'm working on the book for March. Unless I really get on the ball. But it takes a little while for YouTube and Teespring to talk and get my books and stuff released. So I am looking at that going, I see a bit of this cookie that sort of ended up overshooting its edge, and I didn't want that. So look at that, how I just worked that color out. Oh my goodness, it's 2:07 a.m. in India. Yes, it is, isn't it? Wow. Oh my gosh. You're up late. Are you a student? I have many students from India who like to stay up very late and watch my shows. So I'm just cleaning up around my cookies right now. I'm just sort of looking at that going, I want to fill the color out to the edge, but I don't want it to be overshooting it too much. So I am kind of using my outlines for these cookies for right now, just to give me an idea. I think now what I want to do is give it really a better more appetizing pink. So I'm picking up the magenta and white. So that's the magenta and white right here. I'm just doing it up in the corner where my white was. So sorry, it's not going to be down here in front of you as it was earlier. All right. So first off, I'm just putting in, you see where that is really dark right there? Our cookies have to be very bright right here. And that is one of those things that you learn. Where there's a dark, if you put something next to it, it needs to be light so that you can actually see it. I'm getting that top cookie And that's not even the brightest light right there. That's just my first layer. And I'm going to go ahead and get this part colored in. I can still see through this paint. It's not totally opaque at this point. I'm going to work my way across and get all of the cookies basically to that point, and then we will work forward. Well, maybe that's even lighter. Ooh, see, that's lighter color. So change my mind. Go and put that lighter color right there, and that lighter color right here. We're going to be working the foot in. That fancy little bit. I do want to get those other cookies. So I'm going to grab some more of my magenta and my white and just get my brush loaded up really nicely. There we go. I want to get that base coat of my pink gouache macaron. We will be putting some detail. We'll be putting some really dark pink little dots where the lift happened, where the separation, so that you had the foot and you had the that the crust formed and it lifted and then it all bubbled up inside. But right now, these could be any cookies at any point. You could change it up and say instead you're making chocolate Oreo cookies or chocolate sandwich cookies of some kind. Or you could make them gingerbread and make them golden brown with a white cream. You could do anything here. And that is why gouache is so cool, because I could change this up at any point. But I want to do macarons. So right now, they're all basically the same color, but they're getting that deeper tone color. This is actually working out really well because this is giving me that deeper tone. And then I can take my highlights over it and give my brighter little dots, and I'll have the dark there already. Aha, that works. I like when things work out. So yeah, this is turning into kind of a little mini marathon, isn't it? Eating pizza for breakfast? Pizza for breakfast is great. I mean, what is it? It's bread and cheese and meat and vegetables. Okay, so if you had an omelet, you'd be having eggs with cheese and vegetables, and then you'd be adding toast, right? So, nothing wrong with pizza for breakfast. It's actually quite balanced. Yeah, I'm that person. I can rationalize just about any food. Okay, I'm looking at that going, I need to make this much brighter. Much brighter. But I am blending it. And I am taking little drops of water to make the flow happen a little bit better. Blending that color out. Top of that's going to be much lighter. Maybe the top edge of that will be a little bit lighter. That one's going to be darker there, but I'm going to have some light out here on this edge. See what I just did there? Start making the shadow happening, right? It's all just a matter of sort of that push and pull of the colors. You push one color in, you pull it out, you go, maybe I want a little bit more, maybe a little bit more pink, maybe I want it a little darker. Ooh, look at that. Maybe right down there I actually want it a little bit darker. And these brushes are probably just on the edge of being too soft for doing, like complete gouache paintings. But since I'm using a lot of watercolor, I'm feeling okay about it. I'm going to start putting some dots of the darker color. Just starting. I will probably put it in a couple different times. But I want to start getting that idea that there's that little fluffy lift that happened. And I'm sort of mushing the very tip of my brush and letting it... Oh, and look what I'm doing. I am twisting my fingers so that my brush isn't the same shape all the way around. I'm turning the brush so that when I put my little dots down, they are random looking. It's not creating a pattern. If I just went straight across and just went dot, 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 everything would start looking exactly the same. We don't want that. All right. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for being here. If you're new, I am Stephanie, and this is Deliberately Creative. Click that like button if you're enjoying the show. It's fun to see all these new people coming in, and it's fun to see you coming back to watch other shows too. If you come in and say hi in the chat, I sometimes see it. I do have the chat up in front of me, but because I'm looking at the time on this going, ooh, I really need to just start drilling in a little more, don't I? Start drilling in, start being a little more focused. I am a chatty person. And a lot of times you guys get stream of consciousness with me where I'll talk about lots of different things. I mean, earlier we were talking about how YouTube does the likes and the algorithm. It measures the interaction. So YouTube measures the interaction. If, like or thumbs up or thumbs down, truthfully, thumbs up and thumbs down, what that does is it tells me more, but it also tells YouTube that people are interacting. So now I'm taking a little bit of that white over the top of it. It's turning it a little pink, but it's starting to give us that feeling of there's an in and an out. So let's see here. I'm looking at that going, I need more white. Now my white is starting to dry a little bit on the palette, which is fine. It's just that it is much more, it flows more nicely when it is slightly wet. I'm just trying to lighten up the pink in my brush. There we go. Get some of that light and dark going back on there again. And if you go too far and you take out all your dark, you can put it back in. I'm going to put some of that fluffy highlight. And the twisting of the brush actually just sort of happens naturally to me. It might be something that will take you a little bit of time to, and you might have to think about doing it. I don't even think about it. It's one of those sort of natural things. Part of that comes from doing a lot of colored pencil. See how that's starting to feel a little bit more real, a little bit more like the real macarons, huh? Hey, thank you guys. Kristen, thanks. Have a great day. You love how I'm painting the feet on the macarons? Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? And I'm going to put out a little more white, and I'm going to live dangerously, and I'm going to put it down here. And see about, I'm going to live dangerously and see if I can have the paint there and work. So I have pink in my brush right now, so I'm not too worried. I'm looking at that going, I want to get that top of the cookie. I want to maintain a little bit of that separation between the top and the foot. This is that crust on the top that, because when you make macarons, you pipe the cookies out onto the baking tray that has a piece of parchment paper, and under the parchment paper you have your little circle template, and you pipe your cookies out. You tap the tray, tap on the counter, and they settle out, and they become these lovely little shiny domes, and you let them sit for a certain period of time, and the outside kind of gets a slight crust on it, and then when you bake it, it lifts from the inside, and it lifts that crust up, and that's what gives you this pretty little foot. So that is my macaron baking knowledge. That's what I know. I am a novice macaron baker. Let's put a little shine highlight up there. And then go and take a tiny bit of that more white. I want to put a little bit more random now. Very few little brighter highlighty bits. This could be a little bit fussy, and that's okay. Sometimes it's nice to have those little bits of fussiness, the getting drilled into a few of the details, because if you get just a couple details and you do them right, the whole thing feels right. The whole thing feels like it's the actual cookie there. Look at that. Putting that little tiny bit of a highlight line right along that edge. We're going to go and put a few of those little brighter highlights here. And if I decided that, you know what, I needed more darkness, sometimes putting the brighter highlight makes it feel darker without having to go add more dark colors. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. It makes this so much more fun when we've got our community coming in and hanging out, enjoying their time. And those of you who are painting along with me, thank you. I love seeing your artwork. I love. I know I called them out yesterday, but Kathy and Annabelle. Oh my gosh, you guys are just rocking my world with how wonderful your paintings are. You just really, really make me so happy to see your art. And if you are on Instagram or on Facebook, guys, you can, and you want to post your art, go ahead and post it at and tag at deliberately creative, and I will see it. Okay, so I just grabbed a little bit more dark pink, dark magenta. Actually, it's not dark magenta, it's just magenta. And I just grabbed a little bit more of that. My paint needs to be ever so slightly damp. So look, I just barely touched into the water. And that's not dark enough. So I need a little more water, pick up more pigment off of my palette. Ah, there we go. I do want a little bit more dark. Showing up in there, just a touch, here and there. I need a few of those darker, deep shadows to be a little bit more believable. Ah, there we go. Just a few more dots. And this is not a totally realistic, total realism, you know. We all go through phases, and my phase right now is I'm sort of a semi-realist impressionist. A few of those darker, dark. You love polka dots. Ah, excellent. Yeah, Michelle, I like polka dots too. I found some photographs, family photographs, me and my sisters with our little matching dresses that have the elastic around the neckline that gave you that sort of little scooped neckline, and then the little puff sleeves with the elastic around for the arm, and polka dots. And we were in different colored polka dots. I think it was an Easter picture. I'm going to take a little bit of that darker pink and put it right around the underside of that icing on this one. And right there, where I took that brown earlier, I can take this pink right over the top of it, and just makes it a warmed up pinky color. Oh, that's good. And if you've been around for a minute, you know that I am all about the positive self-talk, talking to yourself, saying things out loud to yourself. When you see something that's working, tell yourself it's working. Now I'm going to grab more white. I'm going to say that this one has a lot more of a highlight. This is, these cookies are off script, okay? These are sort of the cookies that are there in the reference, but I took them off script. I went and put them into a different shape, different pile, as you would think or say, or I can't put all my words together right at the moment, can I? Look at that. So I'm saying there's a bit of a shadow coming from this one. This one is sort of shadowed by the teapot, but it's not completely. It is light. You had a matching polka dot blue dress with your sister. Same style. Yes. I think classics, classics. And it's a style of dress that was very popular, and popularity of things like that tend to come from the ease in which they are made. Because my mom made a lot of our clothes when I was little. And then when I was older, in high school, I made a lot of my clothes. There we go. I need a little Prussian blue. I'm going to start doing kind of that purple gray. In a few spots. I didn't want it right there. Don't know why I dropped it right there. But you know, you just work your way around. And if your cookie grows, just grow the cookie. You know, I am not a professional cookie baker here. I did not make perfect macarons, right? It's okay. If some of your cookies are a little bigger than others, all it means is that you've got a bigger cookie, right? We are not working on the set of a baking challenge. Although, oh my gosh, did I watch a ton of those Christmas baking challenge shows? Sugar Rush? Huh. Yep. British Bake Off, Christmas editions. I tend to only watch the Christmas editions of the baking shows. What about you? Do you watch those? Are those kind of like, oh my gosh, why would you ever watch somebody bake a cake? Because they're actually very fun. And you start to root for people. Okay, I'm looking at that going, now I just want to brighten that up, but I also want to smooth it out. See, I've been a baker all my life. That was my thing. I mean, I learned how to cook very young. When did I start getting into painting? All right. So, the watercolor and really getting focused on watercolor has just been in the last couple months. But I say that and then people go, "Oh, hold it. No, 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 no." And I will give you the kind of caveat with that is I've been an artist all of my life. And I have been, pen and ink and acrylic and colored pencil. Actually, pen and ink and colored pencil really were my first two. I do have a watercolor that I did back in high school that was huge as far as I'm concerned. It was like on a 20 by 30, and it was the whole, a whole landscape scene with a house out in the middle of the field with a couple trees. But in general, this type of painting I've only been doing for a couple months. But playing with color, I've been doing all my life. And playing with painting, playing with art, looking at things. So I've been looking at stuff all my life. And I grew up watching my dad, who is an artist. I grew up watching him drawing and painting. It's much darker right there. Might even pull up just a tiny bit of another red. So what I did is I've been using this little magenta right here, and I'm just moving back and pulling a little bit of this red. Not sure how that's going to work, but it's actually working really well. So does that help you out with an idea of what I'm doing? You found out you were pregnant. You made 2 boxes of baby clothes for your newborn. You made all boy clothes and you ended up having a girl. Hey, cool thing is, girls can wear boy clothes, right? I was I was one of those little girls that, you know, when I was in school, in kindergarten and first grade, you know, you had to wear dresses. Who would put little girls in dresses? They want to play on the monkey bars, run around and, flip upside down and all that. So we all had to wear shorts underneath of our dresses because nobody wanted to show their underwear. And, you know, so as soon as I was home from school, I was in, play clothes. I guess that's the thing is kids don't wear play clothes anymore. They just wear the clothes they wore to school. See that slightly more red tone. I'm kind of using it as my lining shadow. That's working. Because then you can go in and you can put a little bit more of a highlight. Yep, like I said, guys, stream of consciousness. Channeling that inner grandma. Highlight, highlight. A little bit of a highlight out here. Just because that's where I'm saying that highlight is. Just making an arbitrary decision. These cookies are not perfectly smooth. They're very smooth, but they're not perfectly smooth. So a little bit of texture just sort of makes it feel like the light is striking it, bouncing around. You can soften it. You can take just a tiny, tiny drop of water and you can soften that gloss. But if you put too much highlight on, you can always go back and put a little more shadow on. And that's what I mean about the push and pull with these cookies, or with anything when you're doing gouache. Just don't worry about it. Have fun. I'm going to grab some more white and just kind of put a little bit of that on the icing. Gives us a little bit of a highlight. It's not pink, it's just white. See, even though that's in shadow right there, I'm putting a little bit of the icing color in. And I want a little bit of yellow orangey color. I'm going to pump up the intensity of the color on that icing just a little bit. I want just a fun little pop of color that you wouldn't necessarily expect. So when I was in high school, we didn't, yes, there's a dress code, certain things you couldn't wear, but it was much more relaxed than when my parents were in school. My dad and his identical twin brother, they were kind of rebels. They'd drive their motorcycles to school and park them over in the teacher's parking lot because there was a a little grove of trees in the middle of the parking lot, and so they would pull their motorcycles in between the trees so nobody would bang into them, you know. And my dad was already losing his hair. I mean, he and his brother, they had like a little curl on the front, forehead type of thing, but they very little hair. They're receding very quickly, and so their rebellion was they would grow beards or mustaches. You have 20 grandchildren, Michelle? That is wow. That is wow. So yeah. Oh my goodness. Let's zoom out on that. Let's zoom way out and see what we're looking at and see what needs to be done still. And let's move this back down a little smaller. What do we need to do still? What we need, I think I still need a brighter highlight on the cookies. They're a little bit light still. So we're going to go with a brighter highlight. But it's not going to be too strong. I mean, it's not going to be in too many places. We're going to put a highlight here and soften it. I'm going to put more of a highlight here, kind of soften it. More of a highlight here. Kind of soften it. What I mean by soften it is I'm just sort of brushing over it lightly and feathering out that edge, blurring the edge just a bit. I want a little bit right down here. Ooh, not that much. I want a little bit of a highlight on this one right here. A little bit of a highlight on that one right down here and right along the edge of the cookie. And I think I am going to brighten that up right here just a bit more. And the reason why is because by brightening that up, I don't have to do anything to the teapot to make this stand out. Oh, wow. That little bit right there. And zoom back in real quick. See how we're getting oh, darn. I'm glad that I ordered up a big, I have a 20 tube of the Eco Pens. I hope they come back in stock by the time I need them again. Yeah, it's one of those things that when you find something, get it quick, because it's almost like going thrift store shopping, You you see something that you want and you think, "Oh, I'll just come back and get it later." And then they don't have it. Or it's like going to, I don't know if you've ever gone to Costco, and you would see something that you liked and you would get a brand that you really enjoyed. And then it goes out of stock. And then they don't know when it's coming back in. And then you get really, really sad because it's like, but that's my favorite, whatever that was. There we go. Okay. I'm going to clean up. Whoops. Need to get the paint off of that. You can't wait for the tape to come off? Yeah, that's I'm basically to almost to that point. I am going to grab a little bit of Prussian blue and burnt sienna. That makes almost a black tone, and then I'll put a little bit of the magenta in it. So it makes it more of a purple tone. I want to clean up right along the edge of that cookie. And I want to make it much darker. So that's why I was... There we go. Right under the edge. Just where it's contacting the surface. Just where it's contacting the surface. I just want that super, uber dark. And then let it soften out as it goes back. Super, super dark, right where it contacts, because that is the darkest spot. This is just some straight Prussian blue this time, because that's what I did, is I just went and put my little spot right there. See how that just pulls the focus. Look at that. We just pulled in all that focus. I see a spot right there, and I know it might be a polka dot, but it needs to have a little bit of softening of color. So I'm just going to soften that one out. Maybe make it into a bit of a disappearing act. Soften, soften, soften. And did I just do that? I did. Ugh. Soften it out. See, sometimes we go in and we do just a little touch. We just wanted a little touch of something there, right? And what do? You end up giving yourself more work to do. I'm going to grab just a touch of that Prussian blue and magenta with a little bit of white. I'll just make that into a secondary highlight. And then just say, you know what, there's a secondary highlight. And then maybe make it a little darker. And yeah, oh gosh, guys, I am having so much fun doing this. Ah, there it is. There it is. I'll take it out of that highlight. I don't like the highlight there. I want it shadow. There it is. Come on. Don't go all liney on me. Soften out. Soften out. See, I am notorious for saying, oh, let's just touch that one more thing right there. And then what happens? I end up spending another 20 minutes. And I'm not going to spend another 20 minutes, guys. Don't worry. But I do want it a little bit darker right there behind that. And along that spout edge. Yeah, that worked. That worked out okay. That worked out okay. So now you could go in, if you wanted to, and take a white pen or take a black pen and, you know, do a few of the little outliney bits if you wanted to. I kind of like this the way it is. I think I am going to rinse my brush, wipe my brush off, grab a dry paper towel. There we go. See, I've been clutching that gouache paper towel in my hand. My hand has gone a little bit kind of gray and white. Oh gosh, yes. This is totally relaxing. And I am really, really enjoying myself. I'm going to put my little signature right down here. So, Michelle, you were asking what my signature looks like. It's just my S and B stacked on top of each other. So it's the S and then the B. See? It's the letter S. And then I put a straight line down and make the B. And then I put it inside a box. So it's kind of like a chop. You know, kind of like a, whoops, wrong direction. It's kind of like like an oriental chop. Yeah, that edge right there, I do need to put just a little bit more light because it's not quite contrasted enough from the background. It was blending into the background a little too much. So something either had to be much lighter or much darker. And since it's a lot easier for me to go much lighter right now, since I have the white out, I'm going to take it lighter. There. There we go. All right. I am going to take that reference off the screen now. We are going to zoom up and we're going to take the tape off. So, and I'm going to take it, I can lay it flat now. It doesn't have to be quite so. Oh, that looks so pretty. Oh, I am so, so happy. Tape off. If your tape doesn't come off easily, just heat it with your heat tool or your hairdryer and it will release the tape. But since I've already dried this a couple times, it's fine. It's popping off there just fine. Look at that framing. Oh my goodness, guys. What do you think? Hey, is it for sale? Oh my goodness. That is a lovely, lovely, lovely thought there. Right now, it is not up for sale. I'm going to be using all of my designs. I'm putting together a whole bunch of journals and books. And so I want to have the originals here for a while so that I can get really good photos. But keep an eye out. I am probably going to do a sale of art. I have all of my acrylic, actually, I have all of my acrylic April designs that I did last year that were all acrylic gouache on my website, and those are for sale. But these right now from this project are not for sale yet. Oh my gosh, guys, doesn't that feel real? Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, click that like button and come back for more of the art from this cozy design series. I drew all 30 designs at one time in an in a 14-hour marathon. Look at that. This is the coloring book that you can purchase from Amazon. And I do have it linked as a teaspoon. Oh my gosh, look at that. Isn't that cool? Oh, I like that. Okay, and I do have it as a digital download book on Teespring that you can purchase and paint right along with me. We are going to be on the cute little elephant teapot tomorrow, and I'll show you the reference that is not an elephant. And you can watch the marathon video to find out how I drew this. It's right towards the end. So it's actually in the part 2 of the marathon. There's only in the part 2 I draw 6 drawings. And I think, well, maybe that isn't in part 2. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, that's not in part 2. So it's the very end of part 1. Everything is time stamped, so you can just slide across the information bar for your video. Just slide across, and it will say Elephant Teapot, and you'll be able to see how it was drawn. And everything is time stamped on the marathons, so you can learn how to draw every single one of these pieces for yourself, or download the instant download book from Teespring, and that's linked over there in the chat, and it's up in the iCard after the show's over. Wow. Look at that, guys. We made it to 95 likes. Woo! Thank you. I appreciate that so, so much. It would be cool to see it get to 100, but you know what? It is what it is. And I really appreciate you guys. Thank you. Remember, go out and do something creative. Take care of yourself so you can take care of those around you. And I want to see you back here tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific time, for more fun and cozy paintings. Take care, guys.